All right, let's go to this now. The African National Congress's Top Seven met today to discuss issues relating to the Government of National Unity. And this comes after the DA voted against the budget in Parliament in the National Assembly. As we saw last week, someone who's been tracking the story for us is our reporter Samkele Maseko, who's joining us now for an update. Samkele, good afternoon to you and thank you so much for your time. We understand the Top Seven officials have already met and it's now the National Working Committee meeting. What's the latest?
Indeed, Bongi, where the ANC's national officials have met, it is now the ANC's National Working Committee that looks at the day-to-day running of the organization, that meets fortnightly, that is meeting. They are deliberating and receiving a report from the Secretary General on what transpired on the week where the Democratic Alliance did not vote for the fiscal framework of the budget of the country in Parliament, and the ANC had to rely on smaller parties such as Action SA, Rise Mzansi, and BOSA that actually came to the fore to make sure that that fiscal framework was passed in Parliament, and the likes of other political formations within the Government of National Unity. You've got the likes of the Deputy President of the ANC, Paul Mashatile, who's openly said that he would be ashamed and embarrassed to be reporting to work, knowing very well that he had voted against the fiscal framework of the country, and put it categorically clear when he was at the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation breakfast this morning that if the DA does not support the budget of the country, does not support other of the policies that will be coming up in the National Assembly to be voted upon, then the DA should leave the Government of National Unity. But the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, yesterday effectively saying that cool heads, calm heads must come together to examine and apply their theoretical and ideological views, particularly when it comes to the posture of the Democratic Alliance that has defined itself outside of the Government of National Unity, and that the business cannot dictate to the ANC or influence the ANC in one way or another, and knowing that the business is not elected, it is public representatives that are elected that will decide the political trajectory of the country, and business should effectively stay in its lane.
Do we know who this big business is that's said to have written to the Democratic Alliance?
It's not yet clear who this big business is at this point in time. I did try to pose the question to President Ramaphosa yesterday, and also President of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, but he spoke to them as big business. He did not divulge any of their names or any of these big conglomerates that may have written to him. It's not yet clear who they are, but they are seemingly betting for the Government of National Unity to remain as it is, and for the DA to stay in this GNU, because they say that if the DA should leave, it would be catastrophic for the South African economy. One wonders, and many questions have been posed, why is this economy and this rand so factional towards the Democratic Alliance? Each time the DA is unhappy, the rand seems to sneeze as well.
And Samkele, of course, all of this, right, is happening not in isolation. We saw even last week that leaked audio where the ANC president was heard saying what you've just said as well, that the DA is defining itself outside of the Government of National Unity, sentiments that were also shared by his deputy there as well. And one wonders then, when it comes to the cool heads, as they're talking about, what is the possibility of that? And how is the DA responding to all of what is taking place now, after what we heard from John Steenhuisen yesterday?
The Democratic Alliance had its FedEx meeting last week after the fiscal framework meeting in Parliament on Wednesday. They had their meeting on Thursday and Friday. It's not yet clear what they decided upon, but my guess is that they kicked the can downstream to say that let's wait for what the ANC decides in its own National Executive Committee meeting, which has since been postponed to a later date and not because the ANC is directed by business, and not because I'm a spokesperson of the ANC, but in my little understanding of that party, it is unheard of for the NWC to discuss a matter today and for the NEC to be convened 2 hours later. It has never happened. It did not happen. And hence the officials of the ANC said, whoa, put on the brakes, let the officials process this matter, take it to the NWC in the afternoon. NWC processes it. A report is then compiled by the NWC. It is then sent to the ANC's National Executive Committee to be deliberated upon. That is how we have come to understand the working machinations of the governing party to work, particularly when it comes to the processing of its reports. And thus, they then postponed this particular National Executive Committee meeting, which was meant to be underway as we speak right now. But because of the nature of the debate and not wanting to stifle people, that is what we had communicated upon to us by the ANC. They then decided to postpone it in order to allow the 20 members of the National Working Committee with the leagues, also with the officials of the African National Congress, to deliberate on this particular matter, formulate a view that will then be sent as a proposal to the ANC's National Executive Committee, which will then ultimately take a decision on what is to happen.
So, Samkele, briefly then, one wonders, how is it likely to work as you're having different conversations with different people, that the DA is taking the whole matter of the budget to court, and they do, of course, have their own issues. So how does it all work when it comes to the dynamics within the Government of National Unity with this pending court action?
It's not yet clear how this particular dynamic will work and what will ultimately be decided upon. But we do know that the DA in itself, some of its ministers have clearly said that they would want to remain and revive the Government of National Unity. You've seen the Minister of Public Works within the country, Dean McPherson. He's been very open about this particular matter, that South Africa is worth saving. The Government of National Unity is worth saving as well. But you've got some within the Democratic Alliance, like Helen Ziller, who are very clear and have been questioning, is the Government of National Unity working towards the DA's favor or not? What is the DA getting out of this GNU? She at some point questioned and asked, I wonder how the ANC will pass the budget in Parliament, noting that they have put into law the Expropriation Act. They've ultimately put in full implementation of the Bella Act. The NHI is being fully implemented as well. The DA on a policy framework has lost every battle in the Government of National Unity. Then when it comes to Operation Vulindlela, the ANC is also not giving way to basically bring in and give the Democratic Alliance that particular responsibility to chair Operation Vulindlela, which speaks about the rail infrastructure within the country, bringing in private sector players. You come to the issue that has been proposed of the ports within the country, the Durban port, the East London port, the PE port, the Cape Town port, most importantly for the DA, to be operationally run by the various provinces where these ports are. These are some of the matters that the ANC's head of negotiations, particularly on a chief whips forum, Ntumiseni Ntuli, blatantly refused to basically sign a cessation of these particular ambits of responsibility of either PRASA or Transnet to the hands of provinces. That would basically mean that you are dismantling PRASA, because the DA also wanted the Western Cape government to be able to run the rail network of Metro Rail on its own within the Western Cape province.
Samkele Maseko, thank you very much for that update. My colleague there, SABC News senior reporter Samkele Maseko, bring us the very latest as far as the conversations are taking place, when you think about the work of the National Working Committee. But there will be more for you on this particular story with Dr. Helen Klute. Samkele will be in conversation with him a little later on.